Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachhalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamadam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Dalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavi Maha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Namo Vishnupadaya Jaya Bhutale Not some Namo Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Mudesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Nandheti Girim Yat Kripata Mahamande Shri Gurum Nintaranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. So obeisances to all the great personalities and also our obeisances and gratitude to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami for making this wonderful work available to us so that we can access the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So we are always indebted to all these great personalities, these pure devotees, who record the Lord's pastimes in a pure, pristine way, so as to make them available and accessible to us this world even after the Lord's descent. Because when the Lord appears, there are only so many limited individuals who are actually able to get the benefit of the direct interaction of the Lord. But today we have in Chaitanya Charitamrita this opportunity to connect to Lord Chaitanya. See, spiritual connection is not so much about seeing. Spiritual connection especially at our level, of course at all levels, but especially at our level, because we do not have direct access of the truth through experience. Our connection to the truth is always through hearing. Hearing the pure teachings of the glories, name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord and His devotees through the years. So the Lord is seen for us through the years, not through the eyes. Let's say even when we go to the holy dhams, the emphasis is not so much on running around from temple to temple and taking as many darshan as possible. Sometimes we are in the yatra, we are in a mood of maximizing darshan. Actually, if you go to some of the dhams, especially in Vrindavan, Chaurasi, there are thousands of places of pastimes which one can visit. And of course, they are all worthy of visit, no doubt. But if one is in a mood just of running from place to place, simply seeing, touching one's head, running to another place, seeing, then that will not give us as much benefit as we will get by visiting the Holy Dham in the association of great souls and hearing from them the glories of the Lord in the place of these pastimes. Srila Prabhupada especially mentions about this principle. He mentions how this happened even before Srila Prabhupada took initiation from his Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami was especially known to give very long Harikatha classes. It said he spoke on the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 month, I think, something like that. First verse. Day in, day out, everyday classes. So anyway, once there was a Navadvip Mandal Parikrama. I want to emphasize this principle. That's why I am just taking a few minutes to mention this. Once he took on Parikrama, like we go for yatras, right? We should go. That's why we should go for yatras with our spiritual master. Because we see the dham through hearing. Because if you simply go to a place, see a board, see a deity, offer some dakshina, we will not be able to access the real mercy of the dham. The spiritual master is the revealer of the dham. So the spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in that case had a Navadvip Dham Parikrama, and all the disciples and so many friends and well-wishers and devotees were there. They were all sitting. And he was giving class. But he was giving a long class. And many of those who were sitting there were becoming impatient when the class will end, so that I can go and see the dham. Time is going. And after that I have to have lunch also. And I need my afternoon rest. And I need to see this. Because I've come all this far. So I must take my checklist. Saw this, went here, dipped here, rolled here, ate here. So we can tell everybody, yeah, I have also been there. I have also done this. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was giving class, and the yatra organizer, suddenly in the middle of the class, he made an announcement to the congregation that we are now going to take darshan in the middle of the class. Now we are going to take darshan, so please come. And most of the crowd got up and left. From between the class of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So of course, that itself wasn't proper, but that's what happened. But Prabhupada, he said, I continued to sit there and hear from the spiritual master. So very few devotees were left behind who chose to sit down at the feet of the spiritual master and hear Harikatha in the dham at his feet. And after all of them left, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati made that comment. He said, what can you see? What is your power to see? So he emphasized this point that access to the Lord is through hearing Harikatha from the lips of those who have a realization of the subject matter. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati especially noted Abhay Babu, Abhay Charanaravindra De was sitting there. Abhay Charan De was sitting there. Prabhupada's Urvashram name. And when later Prabhupada's name was recommended for initiation, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when he saw his name, he especially made a comment. Yes, I have noted, I'll initiate this person, Abhay Babu, because I have noted that he likes to hear. So Prabhupada shares this. So our spiritual master noted, he is not here just to, do spiritual tourism. He's here to. So these spiritual principles we must be familiar with. Otherwise, we simply become spiritual tourist. You should know how mercy is actually accessed. What is the mood of going to the dham? Why we go to the dham in the association of great souls? Even though there is inconvenience. There's so much. Sometimes we like to go free and easy. Understand free and easy? Free and easy in tourism world means, you just pack your backpack, go from place to place, no schedule, nothing. Today I'll sit here, tomorrow I'll go there, whatever I want to do, I will do whenever I want. That may be materially convenient, but being in the sincere in the association of sincere devotees led by a pure soul and hearing Hari Katha from the lips of a great soul in the places of the pastimes and hearing those pastimes there, that has a totally different effect, transformational effect, which we will not have by going to 100 places, simply wandering. So I just wanted to emphasize this, came to my mind. So I thought this is an important insight, which I have learned from my own spiritual master, because he has, whatever I'm shared just now is what I've heard from him. And I have always tried to keep that in mind. That is what is of paramount importance. So we are continuing our discussion of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And through this hearing, we are given the vision of Mahaprabhu's pastime. So we are seeing Mahaprabhu's pastime through our ears. Because we are so fortunate that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who heard all these pastimes from Raghunath Das Goswami, saw it from the diaries of Sarup Damodar Goswami and others, has so kindly described it in great detail. How much detail? Including what vegetables, sweets, pakodas, sweets, sabjis that Mahaprabhu ate and the devotees cooked, to that level of detail. How he washed his hands, to that level of detail. So we are so fortunate. So we have discussed our pastimes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhya Lila, we completed 3rd chapter the last time. The 3rd chapter was the chapter where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, was led to go to Shantipur by Nityananda Prabhu, where he stayed at the house of Advaita Acharya for quite a few days. And he gave the opportunity for all the devotees of Bengal to come there, and including Sachi Mata, and he had wonderful reunion after he had disappeared and taken sannyas. In the middle of the night, he had gone to Katwa, taken sannyas. So Nityananda Prabhu routed him back, and they all got together, and there are mixed feelings of sadness and happiness. Sadness that he had taken sannyas, happiness that at least they were together for now. They all had almost 10, 12 days, between 10 to 14 days of chanting, dancing, and feasting. Prabhupada would describe Krishna consciousness movement is chanting, dancing, feasting. And all this, of course, in the spirit of service and in the spirit of glorification of the Lord. That is Kirtan, not in the spirit of enjoyment. So after this wonderful festivities and after giving opportunity to even Sachi Mata for many days to cook for Lord Chaitanya, Sachi Mata finally requests the Lord that please be in Puri, don't go to Vrindavan, because the Lord was wanting to go to Vrindavan, and the Lord, realizing how much he had gained his mother by taking sannyas, he was like so willing to go all out to please her and take care of her. That's the nature of the transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. The Lord was very kind and considerate of his mother. She was a widow, she had nobody else, she had no other sons to take care of her. So the Lord agreed. Of course, this is the Lord's internal arrangement. These are not accidents which happen. These are part of the Lord's pastime, but in a manifest way, this is how it unfolded. And the Lord said, yes, I will go to Puri, because Puri is non-different from Vrindavan. And Bengal and Jagannath Puri are like two rooms in the same house, next door. Devotees are always going to and fro. So Mahaprabhu said, okay, so be it. And it was Mahaprabhu's internal desire to be in Puri, because Puri is a very special place. Because Puri is the place which nourishes the feelings of separation from the Lord. And this topic we'll discuss in more detail as we progress. Chaitanya Charitamrita, but just want to mention this is the reason why the Lord chose Jagannath Puri. We'll discuss that in great detail in due course. So the Lord takes leave. He starts walking towards Puri. All the devotees try to follow him. He forbids them. Advaitacharya accompanies him up to some distance, and finally the Lord sends him back. And the Lord is accompanied by 4 devotees whom Advaitacharya has appointed, including Nityananda Prabhu, who continue to accompany Lord towards Puri. So the 4th chapter which we are discussing today begins from that point that the Lord is proceeding towards. It is said from Shantipur, the Lord took the route from the place known as Chhatrabhoga and walked towards the Bengal-Orissa border. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami especially mentions this. Many beautiful pastimes happened on the way to Puri. But he also mentions again that many of these pastimes have been described in detail by Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So those pastimes I'll mention very briefly. Some others I will mention in detail. So he says one very important thing. He says that Lord, as he was traveling towards Jagannath Puri, of course, the Lord passed through so many villages. And the Lord would be chanting along the way as he would pass through many villages. And as he would pass through any village, because he was sannyasi, he would beg alms. Bhavati bhiksham dehi. Please give me alms. To home. That is the culture. Both for brahmacharis and sannyasis, the culture is to beg and eat. And when you beg, you cannot say, please give me palak paneer, please give me pakoda, please give me gulab jamun. Except for very pious families and very well-to-do families, most people, even for sadhus, just give some very little rice or some one chapati, some little leftover vegetable. And the sadhu usually accepts whatever comes his way as the Lord's blessing. Of course, whatever is edible, according to rules and regulations. So anyway, in this way, doing Madhukari, the Lord, and it is said in this particular trip, lot of alms the Lord got, and he would use, and sometimes it was not even cooked items. Sometimes they would just give them some atta or some uncooked rice, some grains, and the Lord would, along with the devotees, they would cook, offer to the Lord and eat prasad. So in that way, they continued, went from place to place. They crossed many rivers along the way as they came towards Orissa. It is said along the way as they were crossing, because in ancient times there were so many kingdoms in India. And as they would cross from one jurisdiction into another, there would be tax collectors even across the rivers. But by seeing Mahaprabhu's extraordinary influence and effulgence, none of the tax collectors bothered Lord Chaitanya. And the Lord, whoever he would interact with, including the tax collectors, he would extend his compassion and give his. Eventually, the Lord reached a village in Orissa by the name of Remuna. Now, I did not mention, perhaps I should mention now, this particular chapter, chapter 4 of the Madhya Lila, is entitled Shri Madhavendra Puri's Devotional Service. So this particular chapter is dedicated to the glories of Madhavendra Puri. And Remuna is a place associated with the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri and Khirchor Gopinath. So rather than Mahaprabhu's pastimes, from this point onwards, This chapter is a discussion of the glories of Madhavendra Puri. Now, before I go directly into the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri, just so that we all know, in case we do not remember it clearly, who is Madhavendra Puri? Madhavendra Puri is the guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guru is Ishwara Puri. And Ishwara Puri's guru is Madhavendra. Now, why Madhavendra Puri is very important? That is also discussed in great detail. But just a quick reminder, does anybody remember what is the special significance of Madhavendra Puri and who is he in the spiritual world? Anyone? Briefly. Okay, never mind. So, Madhavendra Puri is significant because he is the first person in our parampara to introduce devotion to Radha Krishna in the mood of the residents of Vraja. So before this time, because we are in the Brahma Bandhva Gaudiya Parampara, the Brahma Madhva, the Madhvites are actually worshippers of Narayan. They are not into Radha Krishna worship. But even though Madhavendra Puri came in the line of Brahma Madhva, because he is an eternal associate of the Lord from the spiritual world, he is the one introduced Braj Bhakti into the Parampara. And we discussed this briefly when we discussed the tree of Lord Chaitanya. You remember the Adi Lila? We discussed how Madhavendra Puri was he gave the seed, isn't it? Wasn't there. Braj Bhakti wasn't there. He gave the seed. Madhavendra Puri is actually a very, very close confidential associate of the Lord in the spiritual world. So one may think, oh, he must be some gopi. Maybe he's a close gopa. No. What is Madhavendra Puri in the spiritual world? In the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, Madhavendra Puri is a Kalpa Vriksha tree. Not just any tree. There are billions of trees even in Golok Vrindavan. And of course, all of them are Kalpa Vriksha. But this is a very special, extensive Kalpa Vriksha tree under which Radha and Krishna perform their confidential pastimes. And because this tree is serving Radha and Krishna in that way, by being the canopy under which Radha and Krishna perform their pastimes, and also being a witness to Radha and Krishna's confidential pastimes, this tree is very conversant with the subject of Prema Bhakti, especially in Madhurya Ras. See, in the spiritual world, it doesn't matter whether one is a tree or a cow or a deer or even a stone or a rasgulla. Maybe one of us may be a rasgulla in the spiritual world. What happens if you are rasgulla? Krishna puts you in his mouth, which even the gopas and the gopis cannot experience, being chewed by Krishna's mouth. And don't worry, it is not painful, it is ecstatic. And just in case you are wondering what happens to me after I am chewed and swallowed, the Acharya says as soon as Krishna swallows the gulab jam again, the rasgulla again comes out, manifests another form so that he can again be eaten by Krishna. Don't need to worry, you don't die by being eaten by Krishna. These are eternal pastimes which go on and on and on. So everything is Chinmaya, even though it may have forms of various kinds, everything in the spiritual world is Chinmaya. So can you imagine? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chose a tree from the spiritual world to be the founder of the parampara of Braj Bhakti. He accepted him as his guru's guru. It's an extraordinary person. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reaches the place of Remuna. In Remuna is famous for a very special temple, the temple of Gopinath. Krishna in the form of Gopinath. Gopinath means the Lord of the Gopis. But this particular temple is especially famous, even though originally it was known as Gopinath, this temple is especially famous as Kheer Chor Gopinath. Kheer Chor. Normally, nobody likes to be known as Chor. Chor means thief. Kheer Chor. Kheer Chor means Kheer means sweet rice. Chor means thief. That Gopinath who stole the sweet rice. That Gopinath's temple. So Krishna is so affectionate to his devotees, and we'll be discussing that pastime. We may not get that far today, the pastime, because even though it's a part of this chapter, we'll not be able to get to that far. But we will be discussing that pastime, how this deity came to be known as Kheer Chor. That is intimately connected with Srila Madhavendra Puri. So, the Lord, when he came to Remuna, was so overwhelmed with love. The Lord ran in front of the deity of Gopinath. He prostrated himself. They said, as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is actually Gopinath only, prostrated in front of Gopinath, Gopinath being pleased to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is said some flowers from the helmet of the deity were decorating the helmet. They fell down on the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like a blessing. And later the chadari was placed on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's head as blessings of Gopinath. The Lord was very, very happy. He was chanting and dancing with his devotees, the 5 devotees, the 4 devotees were with him, and they all had a wonderful kirtan in front of this deity. And the servants of Gopinath, all the pujaris and all the devotees who were serving Gopinath there in Orissa, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a remarkable personality. Because he's Krishna himself. So imagine when he comes, whoever would see him would be struck by his effulgence, by his aura, by his transcendental beauty. So beautiful and very tall. Even though there is no exact reference to the height of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is believed that he was close to 7 feet in height. This is what I have heard from him. His lotus footprint itself was very, very long. In today's world, no shoe would fit his footprint size. And his ajanulambita bhujau, his arms are so long they extend up to the knees. Lord Chaitanya was very tall, very golden fair, very long arms, and when he would extend his long arms very gracefully into the air, pointing towards the sky and dance, it would be a sight which would be absolutely mesmerizing, transcendently mesmerizing. So wherever the Lord would go, all the servants of Gopinath were just struck with wonder. This personality. And they were so attracted to him. They started, approaching, and he's a sannyasi also. So they approached him and they wanted to serve him in various ways. They actually requested Lord Chaitanya that please you stay in our temple only here for tonight. And Lord Chaitanya was thinking, okay, since I have invited by them and I have been asked, and it is such a wonderful opportunity, I can stay here because this temple is so intimately connected with Madhavendra Puri. And not only that, I will get to honor the Mahaprasad remnants of Kheer Chor Gopinath. So that was the transcendental greed. Kheer Chor Gopinath. And what is that special Mahaprasad? Is the kheer. We'll discuss about the kheer in great detail. So he wanted to obtain that kheer. Mahaprasad, not kheer. Kheer Mahaprasad. Mahaprabhu had no attraction for kheer, but Gopinath's kheer Mahaprasad was very famous all over the world. The Lord said, okay, fine, I will stay here. So Lord Chaitanya had heard about the glories of Kirchor Gopinath, Remuna, and Madhavendra Puri from his Guru Ishwara Puri. And while the Mahaprabhu was staying there, Mahaprabhu decided to narrate or share those glories that he had heard from Ishwara Puri. Those devotees who were accompanying him, including Nityanand Prabhu and so Mahaprabhu starts now narrating the pastime of Kirchor Gopinath and Madhavendra Puri to this devotee. So the rest of the chapter is that conversation. Okay, you get the context? Mahaprabhu is on his way to Jagannath Puri. He stops at Remuna. And at Remuna, Mahaprabhu is narrating the glories of Madhavendra Puri and Kirchor Gopinath to Nityanand Prabhu and others as he is staying there over the. So he starts about the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri. And he says, Madhavendra Puri, Mahaprabhu is describing it. One day he traveled to Vrindavan. And he came to Vrindavan and he came to Govardhan Hill. And a Brajvasi who has pure love for the Lord, he comes to Vrindavan and he becomes maddened in love. Because all the places of Vrindavan so much evoke the feelings of love and the intense separation from Krishna. He Radhe Brajdevi ke chalalite he nandashuno kutah Shri Govardhana kalpapada patale kalindi valli. Krishna Madhavendra Puri also in an intense mood. It is said he was like mad in ecstasy of love of Godhead. He was so absorbed, he didn't know whether it is day, it is night. Sometimes he stood up, sometimes he would fall. So like Mahaprabhu would go into these ecstasies in his Ante Lila, Madhavendra Puri also displayed. Nobody ever had seen these kind of ecstasies in this world. Madhavendra Puri was the beginning point of this kind of transcendental madness. So as he was in these moods and he was going around Brajdam, he actually did the whole Govardhan Parikrama. After doing the Govardhan Parikrama, along the Govardhan Parikrama path, there is the Govinda Kunda. Some of us have visited Govinda Kunda. Govinda Kunda is that place along the Parikrama path just next to Govardhan Hill, where Indradev had bathed Lord Govinda with Surabhi cow. And all that water has accumulated in that kunda. Very, very holy, very special kunda. That's a very beautiful place, very special place. I think many of us have been there. So he went to Govinda Kunda, he took his bath. And after he took his bath there, he sat under one of the trees. There are some beautiful trees just opposite, just outside Govinda Kunda and facing Govardhan Hill. It's a beautiful sight. Even today you go there, oh, it's one of my favorite places. It is so so divine being there. So he was sitting under this tree. And as he was sitting under this tree, remembering Krishna, having this beautiful darshan of Govardhan Hill, a young cowherd boy came over to Madhavendra Puri. Actually, Madhavendra Puri was fasting. He had not eaten anything for a long time, probably the whole day, or maybe longer than that. He had not eaten anything. So this boy comes to Madhavendra Puri and he comes not empty-handed, but he comes with a pot of milk. And he says, "Oh Madhavendra Puri, I have brought some milk for you Please take this milk. Madhavendra Puri is surprised. Who is this boy? And why is he bringing milk to me? But the boy continues to speak. He says, I have noticed that you're not going around our village and begging for madhukari like other sadhus do. Madhavendra Puri was listening to the words, and Madhavendra Puri, as he was listening to the words of this cowherd boy, was feeling so attracted to this cowherd boy. He couldn't understand why. In fact, he was feeling such transcendental ecstasy on seeing this cowherd boy that Madhavendra Puri practically forgot his hunger and thirst. And the boy asked, so what kind of sadhana you are doing? What kind of meditation you are doing? Please take this milk. Madhavendra Puri asked the boy, who are you? Where do you reside? Where are you coming from? And who told you that I am fasting? Oh, my dear sir, actually I stay in the village nearby. I am a cowherd boy. There is one rule in our village, that in our village nobody fasts. Usually people will come and do madhukari and they will obtain something. But if there is a person who comes to the village and is fasting, then I will come and personally give him. I take it as my job to serve him prasad. Because in our village, nobody sleeps on an empty stomach. And you are asking me how I found out that you are fasting. Actually, these cowherd ladies who come to the Govinda Kunda to fill water, they have been observing you for the whole day, and they observed and saw that the whole day you have been sitting down here, you have not had anything. They came and reported to me that there is a sadhu who's fasting here. So when I came to know, then I thought that, yeah, you should not fast. So they only give me some milk, those cowherd ladies. So I'm just bringing it to you. He was quite amazed. He received that pot of milk from this boy, and the boy said, you have this milk. I have to quickly go now. I have a lot of seva. I have to milk the cows and take care of them. I'm a cowherd boy after all. Later, I will come and I will come back to collect the pot from you. You just bring the pot and use. So the boy said he will go, and he left, and he just walked a few steps, and suddenly the boy disappeared. Madhavendra was looking over, where did the boy go? And he couldn't see the boy anywhere. It was very mystical. Where did the boy go? He was just now here. He said he's going, and now I am looking here and there, and I cannot even see him. Madhavendra Puri's heart was filled with wonder. What is going on? Who is this boy? But Madhavendra Puri, by the illusory potency, by the Yog Maya potency of the Lord, couldn't understand who this boy was. So Madhavendra Puri, he drank the milk because he was feeling very great transcendental ecstasy as he drank this milk. Something special. Wow, this is far out. And after that, he put the pot aside and he was waiting for the boy to come, but the boy didn't come. Waiting and waiting and waiting, the boy didn't come. Then after some time, under the tree, towards the evening, towards the night, Madhavendra Puri dozed off a bit. The pot was still lying, the boy had not yet come. Madhavendra Puri dozed off, and when Madhavendra Puri dozed off, in his dream, that same boy came. And the boy came to him and held the hand of Madhavendra Puri, got him up in a dream, and walked with him into the forest of Brush, through very thick forest. And walking through the thick forest, going through very inaccessible area, finally the boy came and stopped near a bush, a very thick bush. And then he looked at Madhavendra Puri and pointed towards the bush. And he told him that I am residing in this bush. and I am suffering in this bush from severe heat, cold, rain, winds. So please go and get the help from the village folk around this place and help take me out from this bush. After you take me out from this bush, situate me on the top of the Govardhan hill and construct a nice temple on the top of the Govardhan hill. Install me in that temple. And after you install me, bathe me nicely because I've become so dirty. And I'm feeling so hot being in this place for a long time. I want my body to be cleansed. And I want to be fed nicely. I want to be worshipped. Long time I'm lying here. I now want seva. And I want seva from you, Madhavendra Puri, because for a long time I'm observing you. The coward boy is telling it in the dream. From a long time I'm observing you. You are such a great, pure soul that I'm hankering to receive seva from you. And I am thinking in my heart, when will Madhavendra Puri come here to Vrindavan to serve me? When he'll come? I am waiting for you. Now that you have come, is my instruction to you. Find me in this place, install me on the top of the temple, build a temple, bathe me, feed me, worship me nicely. I have come here to accept your ecstatic loving service because as the Lord, I'm always eager to receive the devotional service of my devotees. And in that way, I will manifest this beautiful form as Gopal. My name is Gopal. I am the lifter of Govardhan Hill. I will manifest this form again to the world to give an opportunity for all the people in general to come and take my darshan, and they'll be delivered. Whoever will see me and take my darshan and render service to me, they will be delivered. In case you're wondering how I got here, this bush, let me explain to you, Madhavendra Puri, that originally I was installed in Vrindavan, this Gopal deity, myself, I was installed in Vrindavan by my own great grandson, whose name was Vajranab. Vajranab is the great grandson of Lord Krishna. I was installed in this deity form, which is now in the bushes. And for a long time, I was worshipped here. But then, some time ago, the Muslims attacked the area of Vrindavan. And the pujari who was worshipping me, fearing that I may be harmed, he took me out of my temple and hid me here, and he went away so that I will not be found. So I was not found by the Muslim soldiers, but the Brahmana never came back to take me out. So long I am here waiting when my devotee will come back and serve me. So now I have chosen you. I want you to serve me. So now you please remove me from this place and you please take care of me. So after instructing Madhavendra Puri in this way, giving full intro, the Gopal, the boy, he disappeared. In the dream, he disappeared. And Madhavendra Puri, woke up as this dream happened and was started thinking about the dream, and he was so overwhelmed. Why he was overwhelmed? Because he realized that just few hours ago, Krishna personally came and met me and gave me a pot of milk. He spoke to me and I didn't recognize him. He was crying and lamenting that my Lord came in front of me, but I failed to recognize him. Devotees, of course, they will lament because they couldn't recognize the Lord. Also, the devotees lament because sometimes the Lord comes in disguised forms and serves the devotees, and devotees feel very sad. That rather than serving the Lord was serving me. That is not something which the devotees. For some of us, we may become very excited that we'll write a book, How the Lord Served Me, by giving me pot of milk. But those are great souls. They actually feel sad that the Lord actually, I caused the Lord to serve me. Of course, that is not mentioned in this chapter that he spoke something like that, but that is, that is a very common sentiment amongst the great souls. So Madhavendra Puri, he was just rolling on the ground in ecstasy, feeling so grateful. When the devotee sees how the Lord is so extraordinarily affectionate to him, the devotee becomes overwhelmed, because those who are actually really very great souls, very purified, they think of themselves as so insignificant. They think of themselves that we are not devotees. And when the Lord displays his affection to his devotees in such an extraordinary way, they feel so overwhelmed. They feel so much gratitude that actually I am so insignificant. I'm so ordinary, but the Lord is so kind, so affectionate to his devotees. He's so much out of his way. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. That he's caring personally. See, the Lord actually could have also arranged just the one of the cowherd women to deliver the milk to him, isn't it? By inspiring one of the cowherd women in his heart, in her heart. But Krishna's nature is for those who is very affectionately attached to, talking about devotees. The Lord wants to do that seva to the devotee himself. And there are many pastimes like this. I will not go into that. There are many pastimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, even with respect to Rupa and Sanatan, like this, which I mentioned. We will come to them later as we progress through the CC. So Madhavendra Puri was feeling so overwhelmed out of feelings of love and gratitude. So after crying for some time, then he controlled his emotions. He said, no, I mean, so nice and wonderful, but what is important is the Lord has ordered me to do some seva. Now let me focus on the seva that has to be done. So after it was night time, when morning came, Madhavendra Puri, after waking up, he took his morning bath. And then he entered the village nearby and he gathered all the residents. And then he spoke. He spoke that the big boss of your village, Govardhan Dhari. Correct? I mean, in Vrindavan, who's the big boss? In Braj, the big boss is Krishna. Govardhan Dhari, because that is the Govardhan Parisar, right? The leader of your village has come to me and instructed me that he is lying in the bushes. So please come and help me. Let us go and bring him out. Of course, the Brajbasis there, they also had so much love for the Lord and they could see the sannyasi, such a pure, great soul. So they didn't doubt and they didn't cast aspersions. They immediately said, yes, yes, Maharaj, Sadhu Maharaj, please lead us, we'll follow you. And he said, please take with you, sickles and choppers and whatever, because we are going to go into dense forest. So Madhavendra Puri led the way based on in the dream how Gopal had shown him the path. He went along that path, went straight to the bush, followed by all these residents who were, actually cutting the way, because as he was walking, there were dense forests. He would instruct, you cut this is the way we need to go. You cut this thicket. So we clear this thicket. So clearing, they finally reach the bushes. And true enough, when Madhavendra Puri and these people, they reached the bushes, they saw lying in the bushes, covered by dirt and grass, huge stone deity of Giridhari. deity of Gopal, deity of Krishna, holding the Govardhan hill on the little finger of his left hand. And the devotees and Madhavendra Puri were so happy. Yes, exactly as was predicted, not predicted, but instructed in the dream by Gopal himself. The deity has been. So Madhavendra Puri was so happy. He said, yes, yes, come, let us take out Gopal. He's lying in this dirt. Our dear Lord is in this dirt. Let us pick him up. The deity was so heavy, stone and huge. Some people tried to lift him, they couldn't lift him. Then many strong men were brought just to lift the deity and bring it not just outside, but he had to be carried as per his instructions to the top of Govardhan hill. So the Brajvasis are so happy and excited that very special deity was found. This deity, Vajranabh, just for your information, Vajranabh, the great grandson of Krishna, after Lord Krishna disappeared from this world, the Lord was in this world for around 125 years. The great grandson of Krishna, who had such love for Krishna, he installed various deities of Krishna in various different places. He personally installed. And this was one of the deities which was installed by Vajranabh himself. This was the original deity, almost 5,000 years old. Was being worshipped for thousands of years, but then with the Muslim invasion and the attack, it was hidden there and it was neglected to be worshipped. So we should always understand, as the Shastras explain, the deities are persons. The deity is not different from Krishna. The deity actually thinks, feels, becomes hungry. Hungry for what? For the love of the devotees. Not hungry like we become hungry. Like if some of you are thinking, oh, when the class will end, it is already so late. Not that kind of hungry. Krishna is hungry for the love of his devotees. So in that love, because Krishna takes the form of the deity for what purpose? Receive the love and seva of his devotees. He's not in need of anything. But he's Bhakta Vatsal, he's Bhavagrahi. Come. Feed me, bathe me, take care of me, and he's just so happy to receive that seva. So he was being lifted now by all these strong men and he was being taken to the top of Govardhan hill. Gopal had instructed Madhavendra Puri build a temple, but of course, initially there is no temple. First they brought him on top of the Govardhan hill. Now where to place him? No temple here. So they got one huge stone slab. They kept it horizontally at one place on top of Govardhan hill. And they placed this, that there were so many people who were lifted, they somehow placed him on top of this stone slab, horizontal stone slab. Then they brought one more big vertical stone slab and kept it behind the deity so the deity doesn't fall. It rests on that other stone slab. So at least for the time being, they placed the deity there. And Madhavendra Puri was so happy. This part one done. The deity has been removed and placed on top of Govardhan. So then he was thinking how to serve. Yes, the Lord has said that he wants to be worshipped. So let us arrange for the worship. So I'm going to stop here because we have only completed 1/4 of the chapter, by the way. So because now a very beautiful description of how this deity was worshipped starts. So we have covered up to verse 54. So we'll start from verse 55 onwards next time. Please do remember. Actually, I intended to cover much more than this. But it's so beautiful. It's so sweet. So I'm trying to avoid skipping the details because all these details are actually so sweet. I hope, I don't know, because I am Pro. So I don't know whether it will sound sweet from my mouth, but what to do? It is your bad karma you have to hear from me. So, but my good karma that you are tolerating me. So I thank you for tolerating and giving me that opportunity to speak. And we hope and pray that through this Shravan and Kirtan, our hearts will be attracted. Mahaprabhu, Gopal, great devotees like Madhavendra Puri, and in that way, real good fortune will arise. Real good fortune will come when we start actually in our heart attracted to the Lord. The first stage of transcendental advancement is the stage of Madan Mohan, stage of Sambandha. Madan Mohan means all this while we are becoming the material world attracted to Maya. But at one point in the sojourn of the soul, since time immemorial, again and again, birth, old age, disease, death, birth, old age, disease, death. At one point, when the living entity is fortunate to get to opportunity to hear pure Harikatha from the lips of those who have transcendental attachment and taste for Harikatha, Harikirtan, then our attraction to the Lord becomes aroused. Then we start being attracted to the all attractive, Madan Mohan, he who is the attractor of Cupid. The awakening of that attraction is a sign of great good fortune. And for us at our stage, we can see that in terms of our attraction to hearing Harikatha. We can see that in the form of how excited we are to see the deities of the Lord, the pictures of the Lord. Sometimes when I share various pictures of the Lord, some people comment, some people have commented in the past, oh, you send the same deity, same picture again and again. I know for me, I feel so excited. Every morning, every picture I send, I feel so happy and I feel so I feel so nice to see this and so enthused and happy to see this. I want to share that with everyone else. So I hope you tolerate me. So ultimately in spiritual life, Krishna is so unlimited. We can just focus on one toenail of Krishna for the rest of eternity and never be fed up because it is so transcendently beautiful. That is what Madan Mohan is. The attractor of the Cupid. Extremely, extremely. So as our attraction to Krishna in his form of the deity, his threefold bending form, his pastimes, his devotees, as our heart gets more and more attracted, our real good fortune begins. Because that is when we start forgetting Maya, getting attracted. So this process of continuously hearing Harikatha is actually facilitating that transition. And when we hear in proper parampara, coming down through those who are great pure souls, then the potency of these great souls becomes accessible to us and will attract our heart, will purify our hearts and attract our hearts. So that is our hope and aspiration. So thank you very much. We'll continue the pastime. It's a very sweet pastime. How very elaborate description of how the deity was worshipped and how the whole thing was established. Just for your information, before this opening up the floor for discussion, this deity is still being worshipped atop the Govardhan hill. Of course, the original deity actually, I think I must correct myself. I didn't mention it fully correctly, but that temple, sorry to mention, the temple that Madhavendra Puri established is still on top of the Govardhan hill. the original deity, the same Gopal, is being worshipped now in Nathadwara. So this is that deity. Okay. The famous Nathadwara Krishna's deity is this deity, which was reclaimed by Madhavendra. Very, very special deity. Anyway, so very beautiful pastimes. So we conclude the class by offering our obeisances to Madhavendra Puri and also to Gopalji. And we seek their blessings, and we also seek forgiveness if there are any mistakes committed in narrating their glories. Thank you very much. I'm opening up the floor if there is any question or comment, and we will.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Achi Prema Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, because of the auspiciousness of the Govardhan Hill, so when we go there, we are not supposed to even touch it with our food, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
This is for us. That is for us. These are all Brajbasis. The ones who went on top of the hill. Madhavendra Puri, of course, is a Brajbasi, eternal associate of the Lord. The Brajbasis are allowed to go on top of the Govardhan hill because they are intimate servants of the Lord. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself never stepped on Govardhan hill. He set the standard for us. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as who's Krishna himself, said, "Oh, this is non-different from Krishna, how can I put my feet on him?" If Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thinking like that, then who are we on top of Govardhan? So if Brajvasis who are there, they have been going for thousands of years, they are going, that's a different issue. But followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do not go on top of Govardhan. So we follow that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
We see the Sheela as non-different from the Lord. Thank you, Mataji. Any other point?
Prabhuji, Tarun here.
Yes,
Hare
sir.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, when you visited last year, I think Vrindavan and Govardhan, do you have that pic? I think you sent over the group, but I don't recall exactly.
Sorry, do I have what? The picture?
The same picture of the Govardhan hill. Which you were just talking about the deity.
Actually, what you can do, no? I mean, it's available on, you can easily find it on Google. Google Images, look for Govinda Kunda and also look for Gopal Temple. So when you come to Govardhan Hill, at the beginning of the Parikrama path, there is a temple. We can see that temple on the top of the hill. If I find those pictures, I can also post it later on the group. That temple is still there, which was built, and there is worship of Govardhan also, which happens there regularly. But that original deity which Madhavendra Puri worshipped, that has moved. So that is another pastime which happened later.
Okay.
But for quite some time, the deity was there and was being worshipped there. Madhavendra Puri established that worship there. So I'll try to see if I can share those. I think Govinda Kunda, I had shared some pictures. There were some pictures of the temple also of Gopal. Of course, we are unable to go to that temple of Gopal because we cannot go on top of Govardhan hill. So we can only see the temple from down, from a distance. But for us, Gopalji has been so kind that he has come to Nathadwara. So we can take his darshan and worship.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji.
And that also, how all those things happened also, some of those pastimes are described later. Okay, so there are some nice, kind words by some devotees. Thank you. I'm reading the chat. Anand Sundari Mataji, Sachi Prema Mataji, Puja Mataji. Thank you. The fact that you are finding pleasure in hearing these pastimes and feeling happy about them. That means there is some success in my effort. Thank you. Anything else? So if nothing else, we'll conclude, and we will meet on Saturday to continue our discussion on the Bhagavad. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, we will continue our discussion of this chapter. I think it will take one or maybe even up to 2 classes to complete this, but this is very sweet, very special, very sweet pastime. By the way, just before we conclude, I've had the fortune I think at least 3 times I have visited the temple of this temple Remuna and taken darshan of Kirchur Gopinath. And also I can proudly say, proudly means not materially proudly, spiritually proudly say that I have also tasted the kheer of Gopinath, because that kheer is still being served. Yes. The same kheer that he stole in the same similar pots. Of course, many others in this group have also had that good fortune. So I'm not claiming anything very special. The mercy of Gopinath. So up to today, that blessings is still available. The deity is still there. The places are there. Same kheer is still being offered. It's a very special recipe. So this place of Remuna is around 4-5 hours from Jagannath Puri. It's around 50 kilometers almost. So usually when we go to Jagannath Puri, if we have a slightly longer trip, we have a yatra to Jagannath. Radhanath Maharaj is taking us in November. I think some of you are probably joining. If you want to join, and if you are not yet, then let me know. This is for those who are regularly already chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles. So there's a yatra in November, around a week. So usually when we go there, Maharaj takes us to, apart from Puri, he takes us to Alarnath and Kirchur Gopinath, Remuna if possible, and also to Sakshi Gopal. So these places are outside Puri, but they're very special, and Bhubaneswar also. So there are some places which are quite significant. So the Remuna is a bit distant. It requires, a full day, 4-5 hours to go, 4-5 hours to come back. So it's a very special place. So we had the good fortune of taking darshan, doing kirtan there, hearing this katha in that place. So I've heard this katha sitting in Kirchur Gopinath temple, hearing this katha from Radhanath Maharaj, almost 30 years ago. Almost. Maybe at least 25, if not 30. And I still remember it. And I still remember having that kheer in my hand and tasting that comes out. So these are very, very special blessings that we have received from the parampara. Get opportunity to know about these places, to be there, to hear, to receive this prasad, receive these various very, very special blessings. ISKCON has built a temple now in Remuna. It's still under construction. Nice, beautiful temple, and a Goshala is there. The temple president from Remuna was in Kuala Lumpur a few years ago. I have met him also personally. So now, and they're going to be setting up a nice guest house also there. If you can just Google up ISKCON Remuna, you will see those places. Nice. I visited that place also when it was under construction. Now I think it's almost ready, if I'm not wrong. So it's a small, simple village. But this is one of the places you must visit at least once in your lifetime, if not more. So please make sure you keep this as part of your itinerary. Of course, if you're in a yatra, then obviously many yatras will organize a day trip to Remuna. Day trip because there is no place there to stay as of now. To a big group. But soon there will be, at least for small groups. Thank you so very much for tolerating. I hope you all are also fine, enjoying as much as I am enjoying talking about this pastime.
Thank you very much for your lovely class, Prabhu. I really love it.
Thank you so much, Madhya. Please give your blessings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hari. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. My humble obeisance.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hari Bol, Aditi. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna. Oh, the full family. Archana, Lila ji and family. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to all of you. Sneha ji is also here. Sharni, Suraj, Tarun, Puja Mataji. So nice. Sini ji, Amit, Priya, Anand Sundari Mataji, everyone. Thank you all. So I will see you all on Saturday.